says.
Good morning.
Were you on mute, Roger?
No. Hold on.
So I'm just trying to. I was just going to have a blame storm as to who to blame for that. But anyway, you're there. Marvelous.
I'm here.
I know. I can sense your excitement, Roger. Apparently, there's some hope. Give us some hope, because everything is looking pretty disastrous at the moment.
It really is, and what you just said about Rishi's 5 pledges is just really quite alarming. There is some hope in the sense that in the last few days, the Bank of England has gathered together a huge number of very, to me at least, sort of gray economists to back them up as to why we should have more interest rates, and that on the 21st of September, we should go to 5.5 or, God forbid, even 5.75%, and maybe even 6% thereafter, and even more, because we still are fighting inflation, except that after...
But here's the thing, Roger. I'm sick and tired of hearing from these people. When is somebody going to realise that Andrew Bailey and his cohort of idiots need to be fired?
Yeah, well, they can't be fired because Gordon Brown gave them complete independence in 1997, and he's got another 5 years to go. But the important point that is the good news is that, of course, everything that they do is slavishly based on what America does, which is really quite stupid, because the situation there is very different. They have very strong consumer spending, robust consumer spending, the Bank of England has said. We certainly don't hear.
But you see, that's the point, which is what I don't understand is why the Bank of England and indeed the government seem to have taken the wrong economic decisions in response to an inflation which has been
totally, and it's not the first time either.
No.
But the good news is that the United States has just announced a revision of its growth. They aren't doing as well as they thought. The growth is slower, and so they are saying they will not raise interest rates, which means that if they don't, maybe Bailey and his band of followers that do everything America does also won't raise interest rates on September 21st, so that's good news for us.
Well, let's hope that they don't, and frankly, I would like to see them all consigned to the history books. Meanwhile,
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, you've got a surprise for us. What's the surprise?
Well, the big surprise is that all of those rules that were supposed to be introduced about following Brexit, about importation of goods and especially food and such from Europe, was going to be streamlined. I mean, before Brexit, they just came in freely, and then there was going to be a lot of paperwork, but it would be digital and just about as efficient as Rishi's handling the NHS backlog. They are in such a mess that they have now deferred it for the 5th time. So all of these restrictions on goods coming in has been pushed back till early next year. And that's the 5th time they've pushed it back. It's a total mess. It looks kind of like the small boats situation. This government just doesn't seem to be able to organize a you-know-what in a brewery.
Well, you could say that. I think you're leading towards the use of a particular favourite of mine, along with the F word, i.e. fiasco. I like the S word, shambles. That's what it seems to be. Meanwhile, you want to talk about a rally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that most people are aware what a terrible year Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have had, from the leader of cryptocurrencies being arrested and all the other volatility and falls and problems. But there is some good news. There's an American company called Grayscale, which sued the American Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulator, like our Financial Conduct Authority, because they wouldn't let them set up a public fund, an exchange-traded fund for cryptocurrencies, for Bitcoin. And the government lost the lawsuit on Tuesday, which means this company, Grayscale, can now set up as it were, a public fund, like a unit trust, for cryptocurrencies, which means that all the big institutions and banks and wealth managers will be able to set up funds for cryptocurrencies and open up the cryptocurrency world to a hugely greater number of investors, which means people that can't really be bothered to get a crypto wallet and a special crypto account and deal with all the intricacies of that can now invest in it by simply buying some shares in what's effectively what we'd call a unit trust. It's called an ETF, an exchange traded fund. It's like a mutual fund, but more liquid, more tradable, and more popular. And people are estimating that that is going to drive the price of Bitcoin, James, as high as $180,000 per Bitcoin. So I'm not giving investment tips, but it sure sounds, when that happens, it sure sounds like a good time to start thinking about holding some cryptocurrency if you're not holding any now, or increasing what you're doing.
Well, you heard it here first. And just to underline, of course, not giving investment advice, just giving your opinion. Dr. Roger Giebel, CEO of Fair Money, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning and giving us your thoughts on those big business stories. Let's, however, return back to our conversation this morning